Welcome to the National Women's Fitness Academy podcast. We're here to talk about women's health, female hormones, body image, and all things health and fitness. Welcome to the National Women's Fitness Academy podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Calvin, and today we're going to be talking about all things bariatric surgery, or weight loss surgery for those who don't know what it is. It is such an interesting topic. It's one that I think maybe is still a little bit taboo with some people, maybe not talked about much in the industry, but we think it should be because it is quite common. And there's lots of questions that a lot of people have about it. And there's lots of people that are willing to answer those. So we have my beautiful friend Rhonda guest on the podcast today. Welcome, Rhonda. Thank you so much for coming on. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And thanks in advance for editing out my bloopers and my swearing. I'm a Kiwi. I grew up and lived in New Zealand. And I guess at the moment, like many, haven't been home for a little while. A people pleaser for sure, sensitive, with apparently quite a tough exterior, which I've been trying to shake for some time now. 2012, I moved to Australia for love, but my weight loss journey, or my weight and nutrition and food story all started, I guess, well before that, and has continued through to now, and will probably be an ever-evolving thing, but we just get better at dealing with it. So I guess I've always been a bigger kid. Hockey's always been a part of my life since a very young age as well. Possibly has a little bit to thank for my relationship with food to start with being quite so poor. So in 2007, I was selected in the New Zealand Black Six squad. And at that stage, I decided to study rather than try and find flexible work. So I did my diploma in fitness training at AUT. But even playing professionally, still didn't feel like I fitted the mould for fitness industry. And I think being like a PT on the gym floor wasn't really my kind of thing either. Like, it didn't really light my fire. In regards to what, like, training and numerous times a day, being in the squad, working with a nutritionist, I guess that's all where my bulimia started and my relationship with food kind of really degraded. Mm-hmm. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. I just wonder now why I didn't just say something to my nutritionist, like that I was struggling, that I, lack of food in the plan and everything. You get 3 or 4 sessions a day and you come home at night and just be super hungry, and that's when I'd eat and binge. Yeah, so it sort of got to a point where I was like, well, is it worth representing my country but having this kind of feeling about and going through all of that? Yeah, so for me it was I was like, well, not really. But in 2008, I guess I got the opportunity that changed my life. Had the opportunity to go over to Belgium and play hockey over there professionally or semi-professionally. Wow. And it was a huge, huge change for me. It's definitely what I needed, and I would hate to think where I'd sort of be now if I hadn't had that opportunity. The biggest one for me going over there was that I got to go over there and be me for me, like not me for my family back in the small town, not for me for my sisters, not me, like it was, I got to put forward the Rhonda that I wanted to be known as. Mm-hmm. And that was a really big thing, I think, just to be quite independent and be an individual. Yeah, the lessons, the growth, like the acceptance over there, and the people were incredible. Very, very fortunate. Sort of thing to be able to do.
Yeah, of course. And you've done so much. You're well accomplished in sport. You're educated in nutrition. You're educated in fitness. You've done a lot of work with body confidence, body love, self-love. You know how to look after yourself, but we still have those demons, and there's comes to a point where you're battling these things. What was the point where you decided that surgery was something that you wanted to do?
Yeah, so right, and all of that, like you think you've got it all, you've got all those tools in your toolbox, but you still just battle. And one big turning point for me was I went to Tara Brumfitt in the body image movement. I went to a talk of hers, and she spoke about, like, when you're hopping into your coffin at the end of your life, what are you most going to think about? And she's like, is it going to be, such and such? And I was sitting there in bloody tears because I was just thinking about all the time and all the years I've wasted with my body and worrying about my body and being at war with my body. And the opportunities and things I missed and the joy I missed out of that. So it sort of came down to sort of thinking along those sides of things and then going, well, you know, in 2020 I couldn't fit into clothes that I wanted to wear that I felt were like represented me. I wasn't comfortable getting through a day, let alone a training session. I was sort of at a point where something had to change. I didn't want to waste any more of my life. Wanted to be comfortable and wanted to have the energy to go out and do the things that bring me joy. Yeah, a couple of friends had had it at that stage.
Mm-hmm.
So I spoke with them about, you know, the pros, the cons, how it's changed their life, what they've been able to do since, or, you know, just little bits and pieces like that to find the good, the bad and the ugly of it all. Like I wanted to know it all. I wanted to know what I was getting myself in for. So that's sort of where it sort of started, then speaking with my family and my husband, and just sort of, they all know what I've been through and how hard it's been. So
yeah, good on you.
Yes.
And for those who don't know much about bariatric surgery, which one did you have? Because there's 3 different types that happen in Australia. There's the lap band, the bypass, and the gastric sleeve. Which one did you have?
I had the sleeve.
Yeah.
So I wanted my stomach to still work as a stomach.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to still be able to take up as much nutrients from the food that I could get in that I can.
Mm-hmm.
With the bypass, you have to supplement for life pretty much after that with nutrients and that, which I guess I'm very cognizant of doing now still anyway, is making sure I am getting all my nutrients in. But yeah, went with the sleeve. So I guess they take about 75 to 80% of your stomach away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously a huge recovery as well. It's a keyhole surgery, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. So I think I've got 4 or 5 little scars on my tummy.
Yeah.
The biggest one is where they pull the rest of the stomach out.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah, so it basically what it does is it's a kind of forced portion control, and obviously after you've recovered, you're able to eat small portions of food and obviously still live a pretty normal life after recovery, of course.
Absolutely, yeah. So that initial recovery, that's I think where you need the most support and help and be the kindest to yourself, because you do go, what the hell have I done? You're in pain, drinking fluids is difficult, it's hard, you've got dumping, you just feel a tightness in your chest, you've got all these things going on, and you're like, you just miss chewing as well because you can't eat food for a few weeks.
Yeah.
So I think it comes down, it's a massive, massive mind change over and above everything else. Getting the mind right and making sure you're ready for that is probably my biggest thing for it. And would not put, I would almost say it should be compulsory for people to have almost like a psychology appointment or something, just to help them work through everything that's going to come up for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so those, I think, first few nights or first few days you're on clear fluids and broths, and then you move into anything you can suck up a straw, anything that falls through a fork. And then it's on to mash and soft foods. You've got your mashed potatoes, some soft fish. And then I think about 6 to 8 weeks you can start eating normal food, obviously just a really, really, really small size of it.
Yeah, I actually know several, all women actually that have had all sorts of different surgeries, from the lap band to the gastric sleeve. I don't know anyone that's had the bypass, but I think the sleeve's probably the most common now. And overall, none of them regret doing it. Everyone says it's been well worth the initial recovery. But some of them did have a bit of reluctance to tell anyone about it. Even some people kind of keep it to themselves and don't want to get judged. And but then there's others that have no problem with it and haven't had any stigma at all. Do you think there's a bit of stigma in the fitness industry, or is it overall, or
Well, I think it's overall, but I think is probably quite a bit of it in the fitness industry, or it's somewhere personally and with my family, it was easy to tell, but people within the industry, it's always been a little bit oh shoot, how's it going to go down? Am I a fraud now being or wanting to be a PT or instructor or whatever? And I've had the gastric sleeve. So you do go through all that kind of work, but I really, really do think there is a big stigma around it. People think it's the soft way out, an easy way out. For me, it was absolutely gut-wrenching when I first was going through the decision. The emotions that were coming up of being a failure, being seen as a failure, if I wanted to continue in the PT industry, the fitness industry, or even as an athlete, how could I get need this or need to
probably get a bit of imposter syndrome around it, like thinking that
hugely.
Yeah.
No, I was saying on the other side of it, like everyone that I've actually spoken to since in and out of the industry have been incredibly supportive. And more often than not, they actually just are quite interested and want to know more.
Yeah, I think that's why today's important, because the reason why maybe feel like there's a bit of stigma is because people are too scared to ask the questions, but they really want to know about it because it is such an interesting thing. And my sister had the lap band many years ago and she had some complications with that, but it did help. But then she recently had the sleeve as well, and she swears by it. She said if anyone has been, struggling for so long, it is such a good thing. It can change your life, and it can actually save your life as well, because I do have a family member who is currently in hospital, who's had hip surgery and is now got infections, and it's not actually looking good because she's so overweight she can't weight bear, and just that quality of life when you're that morbidly obese that you could possibly die. What's worse, having a surgery that people are going to maybe judge you for and you're going to get your life back, or, dying from obesity complications? Like, it's definitely something that, it can save your life if you're,
Absolutely. And I didn't want to get to a stage, like, I was like, I need to do it now, or I need to, like, something. And so it's sort of like, I didn't want to get any bigger because I knew it would just be either harder to then have the surgery or harder to work on myself. So I was kind of like, well, I've got to bite the bullet now and do it before I get either too big or I get too or I just give up. Like, it's definitely right decision. And as your sister said, like, just know that there are risks in it, but honestly, coming out the other side, it is life changing. Being able to move easily, freely, not hurting so much, not snoring so much, like not being able to fit clothes and feeling comfortable in clothes that I want to wear. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess like the pros of it are, obviously you get your life back and everything like that. I think my sister said the only con was the cost of it. Maybe if you don't have private health, it can be quite expensive. Did you have private health, or was it something that you saved up for?
I had quite a good cover with private health, so I got it all covered except for, I think once I got everything back, I maybe paid $3,500.
Yeah, that's awesome.
In the grand scheme of things, I've probably spent 2 or 3 times that on fad diets and whatever in the past. So it's sort of like, and if anything, I'm getting it back in food bills now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, so that side of it is very expensive. I think it could be around $30,000
without cover.
I think that is mainly the expense comes in as the hospital stay. Is where probably about $20,000 of that goes to be honest.
And she said, and a few other people I've spoken to said that they've had full wraparound care. They got psychology support, they got dietitian support, they got a lot of follow-up support from their doctors and everything like that. So it's not something where they just take half your stomach out and off you go, that you do actually get good support. Obviously you've got to go to the right surgeons, and there's forums out there if anyone needs to know more about it. I'm happy to share with you my sister's doctors and stuff like that, and I'm sure you are too. Did you have a good experience with your doctor and everything?
Amazing. So the first surgeon I booked in with, I wasn't very comfortable with. Didn't talk much about aftercare. It was sort of like he just felt like another number, and ended up cancelling that surgery because I was just like, no, I don't feel right about it. The surgeon I ended up going with, their aftercare it was phenomenal. Always there. You had the surgeon's personal number. If you needed anything when you first got home or any issues, they were fantastic. And you always had someone you could contact and talk to if you needed it, which I think is hugely important. But in the end, like, it comes down to that's only going to work as well as you implement it as well. All of those sessions, turning up and listening and learning more, doing your research. There is a lot of forums, there's a lot of good and the bad, and you just got to work through all that. But
you do hear some stories about people falling back into bad habits, sort of like 5-10 years later, and starting to slowly put back the weight on. Is that something that worries you at all?
Definitely. I guess now, what am I, 14 and a half months out. I don't know when the honeymoon period ends or whatever, as they say. But it's definitely something I keep in the back of my mind. So keep working on my relationship with food. Now back training, which I haven't been doing a lot of in this last year. So it's quite nice to know that I've still got training as an aid to help me keep my good habits in check and to help my body as well with everything. It's definitely very much in my mind, and also to not stretch the stomach, because you can still stretch your stomach back out to a bigger size again. So very, very cognizant of only eating just enough. And if I get hungry, I can go back and have a little bit more later, rather than eating so much that it stretches or you feel uncomfortable, or you can do damage to your sleeve, which is quite frightening as well. So
definitely. It's important to note that any surgery has risks, and it doesn't sort of cure an eating disorder. It just but it's definitely a life-saving tool for someone who's struggling and needs that extra help. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We had a few questions come through from people, so I'll just get to them. One was, do they offer support for habit changes and mindset?
Yes, I guess more so for your mindset, in that they have a little guidebook and that kind of thing, which just covers the basic parts of it all and what you might be feeling after it. And I think that's where those psychology appointments and that sort of really come into play, and take advantage of them. Even if you're not having surgery, take advantage of them. Everyone needs a good chat out every now and then. But after support with my surgeon was fantastic. The habit change is a lot of that I worked on personally for myself, and really enjoyed sort of that process and learning more about myself as I shared it all as well.
Next one was more of a comment. They said, I haven't had it, but I hate how people assume it's the easy way out, or people are just too lazy to exercise. This one is, I guess people just shouldn't judge someone else. You have no idea what it's like to live in someone else's life, in someone else's body, and what it's like to have an eating disorder. What do you think of that when people think it's the easy way out?
I know that this is the face. I just wow. It's so hard, because I was playing hockey professionally overweight, and just no one. If you're not overweight or haven't been overweight, I don't think you quite understand the different treatment you get out and about. I don't think even people are aware half the time of how they treat you. There is so much to uncover and work through, just even to lose weight, and then the roller coaster of it all, the emotions behind it. But it is most certainly not the easy way out. When you weigh up some of those risks and you go, I could have reflux for the rest of my life after the surgery. I could not be able to eat bread again. I might not be able to eat sugar again. Drinking water for me now, unless it's pure, I can't drink water out of a tap. There must be something it's just too harsh. I need to put a little bit of sugar-free cordial, or I need to have bottled water. It's little things, but it's definitely not an easy way out.
Yeah, for sure. And all those little things, as difficult as they are, you would choose again in a heartbeat over that, that life before.
I am lucky. I don't get the reflux. I can eat anything now. It's still a little bit funny with dairy at times, but I was beforehand too. So I am extremely lucky. There's some things that will give me a little bit of dumping, but I would do it all again in a heartbeat. It's been amazing.
And dumping, for those who don't know, that's when the food goes too quickly into your intestines. Is that right? And then you either vomit or get diarrhea.
Yes, so it just doesn't agree with you at all. And it's generally the sweet or richer foods that will do it to you. And you're pretty quick in finding a toilet.
So another question was, how much does it affect your life with eating and restrictions? Obviously you weren't that long ago that you had your surgery, but are you able to eat semi-normally yet, or where are you up to?
So I've probably been able to eat normally now for I'd say a good 6 or 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
A good 6 months at least. And in the last sort of 3 months, I've been able to tolerate a lot more dairy and everything as well, so I haven't got as much dumping with that. I've always tried to keep testing it because I don't want to become intolerant to things. But I guess restriction-wise, it comes down to mindset and just habits, changing habits, putting things on a smaller plate, cutting it up into little bite-sized pieces so that you have a small mouthful and you chew it well, trying to remember to have that time between mouthfuls. And as long as you're still eating foods that you enjoy, you don't feel like you are missing out on anything. So I still eat whatever we cook at home. It's just a very small portion. And my husband will take the rest of the food for lunch the next day.
Yeah.
So I guess eating out, we found a bit tricky at the start because, like, unless I'm having a little bit off his meal and I order a meal,
there's no point.
Taking, the whole lot home with me, even an entree, So if there's something that I really, really want to eat on the menu, I'll get it and I'll take it home. We'll see if they can serve it up in a smaller size. But it just, you work through it, and I don't want to stop us going out and eating out. So we've managed to make it work now, which is good. Yeah,
good. Can you recover from training properly, given you're only able to eat small amounts?
That's actually such a good question, and one that I've actually been working with a lot at the moment, just for starting back with strength training, in that I've been achingly sore and I'm not getting enough protein and to help my body after these weight sessions. So that's a big focus for me now. Using like tasteless protein and things, like putting it in my coffee. If I have a second coffee, putting it in that one too, protein waters, but also want to try and get it from natural sources. So you sort of, I think, getting into the smoothie side of things and really trying to pump it full of some good nutrients and a lot of protein-rich foods. Because, you're right, you can't get enough. And even when you have a whole stomach, it's sometimes really hard to get to your protein that you want to get in. So it's definitely something you've got to be very aware of. I'm still looking at ways where I can get more in, like good old tin of tuna. It's about all you can fit in, but it gets you a good dose of protein.
Yeah, that's another thing I've heard a lot is, you've just got to make sure you're nailing that protein in every meal you can, just getting more protein in to help your muscles and body recover from just, exercise or anything.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, one of the comments was, I just can't imagine not tucking into a big family dinner or Christmas lunch. I think that's like, that's kind of like a mental thing that probably stops a lot of people from changing their habits even, like, because you just think, I can't imagine doing this. But, that you can do it. You just got to change that mindset. Yeah, what do you think about like Christmas lunch? I guess it's the same as you going to the restaurant. You just have the smaller portion.
Yeah, and like I totally get it. Like everyone's used to, Christmas being that time where you just eat until you feel, well, you'll still do that even with a sleeve, and you'll feel a little bit uncomfortable, but it just means you have to go through and you pick out the foods that you really enjoy from that spread, and you put them on your plate and you just nibble at them while everyone else is chowing down. And if there's something that you really, really, really like and you want to have more of, just put it aside on a plate and have it a couple of hours later and have a little bit more of it. But again, it's just that working through that mindset side of it, and breaking those old habits that just are little assholes. They just sit there and they just test you all the time. I had a good chuckle at that one.
Yeah, definitely. It is like one of those negative mindset things where you think, I can't do that. That's not something I could ever see myself doing. And you just got to switch that mindset to, actually, it's worth trying that. It's worth trying that to, have a better life. And
like you don't get to eat the food, you still get a bit of ham or whatever it is in that Christmas meal that you love, and you still get the taste of it and you still get enjoyment out of it. So it's just, you can't eat the size plate you used to.
Yeah. And mindset is key, and you've got to keep, like, even though you've had that surgery, it's one of those things you've got to keep working on, keep being mindful of your food and what you're eating, and keep exercising. That's one of those things that is so important, to keep that good habit going. And
Absolutely. Build those foundations for when the honeymoon period does start, and you actually continue to keep working on them to help yourself out, so make sure you don't put anything back on or blow out again.
Do you mind me asking what your weight was and what you've lost?
Not at all. So I went in, I think the week before I started my pre-op diet, I was 115 kgs, and I am now at about, I'll probably get it wrong because I always say the 70s because I never dream of being in the 60s, but I'm about 67 kgs.
Yeah.
So on my way to about 50 kg loss in a couple of kgs. So
wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah. And is that something that you've done before with dieting, or has that never been achievable for you?
That amount of weight's never been achievable. I think like maybe with Duramine, I lost a bit, but all went back on, and the side effects that came along with that are just not worth it.
So bad.
And then when I learned about flexible dieting and that side of things, had really, really good results with that, and probably really started like sort of my journey with improving my relationship with food with that side of things as well. But had really good results with that, and sustainable results. It was just more, I think for me, came down to emotional side and definitely a mindset.
And I think what a lot of people don't understand, if you've never had an eating disorder, it is a mental health condition. It's not something that you can just fix with a diet, and it's something that you just battle every day, and it's a struggle for a lot of people. And
it does grow tiring. You just kind of get to a point, you're like, oh God, for sure. Have you got any advice for anyone who maybe wants to look into it, or like just research, talk to different surgeons, and then just talk to people who have had it done as well. The more information you can get, and the more, like, I guess, first-hand information from people who have had it done, the better as well. It's like, if it's something that you think and feels right for you, just do it. Like, don't wait. It has been the best thing I've done. Like, I've got my life back. As much as I've got a back issue at the moment, but getting back into training, and I just feel awesome. Food is not so much like the devil for me anymore. It's released so much from me every day from having to battle it. I'm not at war with my body anymore over it. My mind's a lot clearer. And just find the right surgeon that you feel comfortable with. You have to feel comfortable with your surgeon, and then post-surgery, just look after yourself. Be kind to yourself. Follow the plans from them to a T. You want to protect yourself and your body. It's just been through a lot. You want to protect that sleeve. You don't want to damage it. And then you keep up your vitamins and nutrition, because that's a huge side of it. Keep supplementing to help yourself out in your body, especially if you're training as well. If you're training heavily as well.
What about for any personal trainers out there or nutrition coaches, because we've got a lot of those who might be listening? What's something that they could potentially help their clients who might have had the surgery or thinking about the surgery? How could we help them?
Oh goodness, I guess just be provide that air for them, give them a non-judgmental conversation type thing, and talk to them about maybe why, point them in a direction of some resources, and also definitely help them, or point them again in a direction for the mindset side of it, because I honestly think that is the hardest thing that they will go through, is the habits and the mindset side. And then again, just support.
And what about for any women out there who are wanting to study fitness maybe and might think they might not fit the mold? They might have been, where you were when you started and think you're, maybe too big to be a personal trainer, or even thinking of having surgery and want to be a personal trainer. Have you got any advice for someone like that?
Just do it for you. Like, if you want to do it, do it. Like, screw what people think. It's taken me a while to get around to being able to say that and even think that myself. But you've got to find your tribe, and you will feel included, you'll want to do it, you'll find your passion. Even though I was bigger, I still knew I had something to offer. I could relate with people. You do have something to offer, and there will be someone out there that you'll be able to help. And if it's only a few people, that's worth it really in the end as well.
Yeah, awesome. Great advice, Rhonda. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on here and telling us all about your journey. It's absolutely incredible and so interesting, and I know so many people are going to benefit from hearing what we've talked about today. If anyone wants to get in contact with Rhonda or myself, I'll have the details up on the screen or at the end of the podcast. And yeah, any last words, Rhonda?
Oh no, please do get in touch if you have any questions or whatever. More than happy to chat through things. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on today. And cheers, guys.